Hey everyone, it's Tom from Benztown and I'm back here. Oh, fuck. Hey everyone, welcome back to another Tuesday tip here on the Benztown YouTube channel. I'm Tom, and this week we'll be going over chopping up VO via the strip silence tool and kind of mixing in some of the batch fade stuff I've talked about in the past. So this is a sweeper that I did yesterday for an AC station, one of our custom clients. I'll just play it real quick, and then I'm going to be recutting the VO or rearranging the VO to show you guys how to chop up VO quickly.
Check out the Morning Show with Paul Horton podcast.
I listen to them all the time.
A weekly podcast of highlights and interviews. Available everywhere. Find out more info at mix103.com/The Morning Show.
So I'm just going to take this clip, extend it out. It's the end of the VO clip, so there's only a couple of lines in there.
103.com/The Morning. 103.com/The Morning Show. Check out the Morning Show with Paul.
Okay, so the tool that I'm talking about, strip silence, is forget how to get it. I think it would be in. So the tool that I was referencing, the strip silence, you're going to hit Command U or Control U, and this window is going to pop up. And you see even a couple of grid lines here, or a couple of divider lines have already popped up. So what these lines mean is where it's signifying where the silence is, and all these faders allow you to determine what silence really is in this case. So I'm going to bring the threshold up, and just to start out, I'm going to bring the minimum strip duration down. That was a bad idea, but I want that to be short. Then set a little end pad. So the end pad is like a release. Imagine this as like a compressor almost. So there's no ratio, but like imagine the start and end is like the attack and release. Add a little bit of start. Then hit strip, and it's all gone. And one thing I like doing at this point is, since they're all still selected, I'll hit F, and it's going to set my batch fade. To set a batch fade is Command F, and you could set your fade in, your cross fade, and your fade out, and that's reflected here. Like when let me cancel that. When I hit F, those are, just my default fades.
Check out the Morning Show with Paul Horton podcast. A weekly podcast of highlights and interviews. Available everywhere. Available everywhere. Find out more info at mix103.com/The Morning Show.
So now all I need to do is just drop them in this shell where they were before.
Check out the Morning Show with Paul Horton podcast.
I listen to them all the time.
A weekly podcast of highlights and interviews.
All the time.
A weekly podcast of highlights and interviews. Available everywhere.
Keep this one dry.
Highlights and interviews. Available everywhere. Available everywhere.
Kind of like that one.
Available everywhere. At Mix1. Find out more info at mix103.com/The Morning Show. The Morning. Check out the Morning Show with Paul Horton podcast.
I listen to them all the time.
A weekly podcast of highlights and interviews. Available everywhere. Find out more info at Mix10.
That could be a little bit tighter.
Interviews. Available everywhere. Interviews. Available interviews. Available everywhere. Where? Find out more info at mix103.com/The Morning Show. Morning Show. Check out the Morning Show with Paul Horton podcast.
I listen to them all the time.
A weekly podcast of highlights and interviews. Available everywhere. Find out more info. Check out the Morning Show with Paul Horton podcast.
I listen to them all the time. I listen to them all the time.
A weekly podcast of highlights and interviews. Available everywhere. Find out more info at mix103.com/The Morning Show.
Leave a comment below of what you would like me to cover next. And I'll see you next week when I'll have another tip here on the Benztown YouTube channel.